This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution, and we are catching up with a gentleman we haven't caught up with in quite some time, none other than Chef John Placko. Now, Chef, what the hell have you been up to over the past 12 months since we've been in this dreadful pandemic? And what were you doing just previous to all of this hitting?
Well, I was involved in a number of different things. I had a restaurant that I opened at the airport 5 years ago, so I was overlooking that from
Oh, yes.
time to time. The powder for texture range was selling well. I was consulting for different food and beverage companies and also doing events like edible helium balloons, liquid nitrogen ice cream stations. So things are ramping along really well. And 2020 was looking to be a fabulous year. And then, wow, in March, it all just fell apart, completely just fell off a cliff.
How did it impact you, John?
Yeah, like there was absolutely nothing to do.
Right.
Like the airport restaurant closed, the restaurant started closing, the ingredient side dried up, the events stopped completely, the consulting came in at a dribble. So yeah, so a friend of mine, Keith Hoare, who is a culinary instructor at Thistletown, called me up and said, "Hey, can you come and help me? We're picking up food, we're rescuing food from Humber College. They're closing down the kitchens, and
Right.
we have to get the food somewhere." So we picked it up, went down to the Daily Bread Food Bank, and thought we're just going to drop it off here, and everything will be fine. But they had closed their massive kitchen, and so they weren't taking anything perishable. And so Keith and I ended up taking the food back to our homes. And luckily, we're sort of set up with fridges and freezers.
Yeah.
And we started making meals with our wives. And so
Bloody
30,000 meals and desserts later, yeah,
wow.
it's been a crazy year. So we've been really, Keith and I and our spouses have been busy rescuing food and making meals for the food bank. No revenue, but it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, I
Help
understand.
people out.
And where is all this food coming from, John?
Oh, it's coming from restaurants, hotels like the Western Harbour Castle. Mildred Pierce was donating. Um, Signature Fine Foods, Chef's Warehouse, Quali First, Pasquale Brothers. I mean, you name it. I mean, all that food that typically would go to restaurants, hotels, casinos, etc.,
Yeah.
was sitting on the shelves and aging. And once it gets close to the best before date, they have to move it out. So
Right.
luckily, we were able to find homes for it all.
So is this still an ongoing project, John?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely, it is. So it went from like Keith and I picking up the food in our SUVs to now what we're doing is we're actually picking it up by the truckload. We're actually borrowing or having different food banks that have a truck come and collect it, and then we distribute it to different food banks and shelters.
And what kind of dishes are you making, or is it all?
Typically, we'll freeze it down and then take it to the food banks frozen. And then on the dessert side, we've probably done like 8 or 10,000 desserts as well, which is a bonus. When you think they typically will get meals, they normally don't get desserts. So
Yes.
yeah, it was good.
And how do you manage to turn your home kitchen into what is essentially a commercial kitchen now? Because that's a lot of
Well,
food.
yeah, it is. So I was set up as a culinary consultant. I've been doing a lot of my, recipe development
Yeah.
and testing at home. So I'm set up with a great kitchen, 3 freezers, 2 fridges, lots of space. So I was able to do that. And same with Keith. He used to own a catering business, so he was all set up as well. So we were, it's not something I would recommend to everyone because you really have to do things properly. Everything has to be stored at the right temperature, cooked properly. So we don't encourage people to make meals from their homes unless you really know what you're doing.
So of course all the restaurants are shut down, or at least in diminished capacity right now, and diminished ways
Right.
to get their food to the public. What are your thoughts about how restaurants are going to come back from this?
Oh, I feel so sorry for restaurants, hotels, banquet centers, casinos. Um, I mean, the prediction is 30 to 40% of businesses won't make it
Yeah.
past March. It's really sad to see. I mean, a lot of people are pivoting. takeout, delivery. I mean, they're pivoting to do anything they can within the four walls to make ends meet. It's really tough.
Have you seen any interesting pivots when you've been noticing restaurants in your neighborhood or across the city, and things that have been kind of inspiring to see how they've pivoted to the new circumstance, the new reality that we live with?
Well, I think I'm noticing like the ones that weren't necessarily really into social media, really into social media. They're posting their daily menus,
Right.
you know, the Valentine menus are coming up. So they're using an inexpensive way to communicate daily, weekly, and special events. So that's a huge difference that I've noticed. Um, yeah, I don't know, like, where are all the cooks and the chefs? What are they doing? I know Tafik from the convention center out by the airport. He's doing cooking classes for kids from home, which is great. Like,
Nice.
people are pivoting, doing all kinds of different things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Speaking of pivoting and Valentine's Day, you've been doing something a little bit different, haven't you?
Yeah. So normally I make chocolates for family and friends for Christmas, and so in November I was already into production, making chocolates and getting it ready. And a friend of mine, Lisa Alexander, said, "Hey, my boss is looking for chocolates for Christmas. Would you like to bring it in?" I said, "Well, I normally don't make chocolates for anyone, but sure, I'll bring it in and let's see if they're interested." So Sam Riccio placed a huge corporate order for
Oh,
chocolates. So I started doing that, and I thought, while I'm doing that, why don't I ask someone else? So I asked my financial advisor if they're interested. So they placed an order. Then I asked a couple of other people. Before you knew it, I had like 4 huge corporate orders for chocolates. And so then I ended up moving out of the house and coming down here to Streetsville to Murphy's ice cream parlor and setting up shop here. Um, Frank, the owner, we've known him for years, said, "Yeah, come, the place is closed. Come on, hit
yeah.
down." And we did a pop up for Christmas, which went really well. And now I'm back here doing production for Valentine's. And then we're going to move down to Burlington to I Love Gelato to do a Easter pop up,
Nice.
doing different chocolates. So yeah, it's been great. I've always had a love and a passion for chocolates. I started learning about it when I was in college, and now I have time to do it. So I'm really enjoying it.
So, what kind of chocolates are you making, John?
Oh, why don't I show you?
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to head back and show you kind of the lineup of what we're doing. Very similar to what we did at Christmas, but here we go. Let's flip it over. Okay, so we're making some beautiful hearts, smash hearts, which we have bonbons in it. We
Okay.
give people a little hammer. We've got strawberry and passion fruit lipsticks,
Huh.
edible lipsticks. We've got a selection of bonbons, milk, white, and dark. And then we do 4 different chocolate bars with little
Yeah.
hearts on it. Um, bombs have been a big thing, right? The,
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
the cocoa bombs have been massive. So now we also start to make tea bombs. So these are sugar spheres with freeze-dried fruits, and we put tea powder into some of them as well.
Huh.
And now we're
So,
getting into things we're doing for the kids. We're doing
yeah,
Lego
Lego
pieces for the
bricks. Yeah.
Lego pieces for the
Yeah.
kids. We're doing a strawberry and white chocolate pizza with freeze-dried fruits and marshmallows. We're
Okay.
doing a white heart, and we're also doing an edible canvas. So this is a white chocolate canvas, and you can see we've done some outlines of hearts, and then we give the kids 4 edible cocoa butter colors for them to paint their own masterpiece.
I know a little kid who would be very much into that. I may have to speak to you about how I can get one of those up here because
Yes,
that looks fantastic. Oh,
and we're
yes.
using really good quality chocolate from Calabor, uh, cacao berry, and also for the lipsticks for the strawberry and the passion fruit, we're using Valrhona inspiration. So yeah, we're using some high quality products, and yeah.
If people were interested in finding out a little bit more about these chocolates and everything else you have there, where would they be going?
Yeah, so they can go directly onto powderfortexture.com,
Okay.
and they can order to either pick up, so there's no shipping fee, or we can ship to them. I just shipped out a ton of stuff yesterday, even to the US.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. And are you doing all of this yourself, or do you have someone to help you?
Oh, I'm trying to flip my camera over, and it's not allowing me to flip back. So we may just have to stay
Okay.
here and look at the lovely chocolate. So my wife's been amazing
Okay.
in securing all the packaging. So we have a great space here at Murphy's. So we're able to do our chocolate production here, where typically they would be serving the ice cream, and
Yeah.
then downstairs we have a whole basement area where we can set up and do all of the packaging. So that takes a lot of time and effort. And yeah, Frank Belmonte, the owner here at Murphy's, he's been coming in to help, and we've had one of our neighbors come in help us during Christmas because we just got absolutely slammed.
Right. Right. How are orders looking for Valentine's?
It's good. It's been really good. The online orders have been coming in, and then lots of orders for pickup as well. So no, it's going really well.
Superb. Now, I always like to end all of these interviews on a kind of upbeat note, and I'd like to ask you, since we've been in lockdown for what seems like an eternity, but it's coming up on a year, I guess, since this all hit the fan. Um, what is the greatest thing that you have learned throughout this challenging period of history?
Um,
Tough question, I know.
yeah, it's a tough question. I kind of don't miss the pace of life that I used to have.
Right. Yep, I can understand that.
I've kind of reignited my passion for chocolate.
Hmm.
I've I over the years I have done some work with food banks and shelters, but this gave us the opportunity to really jump in and help those in need. And I feel great that my wife, and Keith and his wife have been able to jump in and help those in need at this time. So, there's definitely been a silver lining here. That's for sure.
Right,
Absolutely.
right, right. Well, it's a shame I can't see your smiling face here, but thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. Really appreciate your time. Always good to catch up. And you're an inspiration with your work with the food banks there. That is really fantastic. And I have to
There's
say,
so Thank you. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of great things.
this is true. This is true. John, thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution.
Thanks, Jamie. Great to see you again. Bye
Bye
for
for
now.
now.